What is going on, everybody? Today we're going to analyze the tape of right tackle JC Latham, and we're going to talk about some of what this guy has flashed. You know, there are some people who have already started to write this guy off, and it's kind of crazy to me because the upside and potential that this guy has shown is absolutely massive. This guy has looked really, really good, and we're going to talk about some of what he's flashed up to this point. We'll watch some of his sacks that he's given up. In my opinion, of the 8 sacks that he's been credited for, probably half of them aren't even on him, truth be told. And more than that, some of the winning reps that this guy has looks really, really, really good. Plays like this right here, and it is a jump set, so it's not like he's getting vertical. Because it's a play action, he's going to go directly towards the defensive lineman. And as soon as he makes contact with this guy, look at the footwork to stay in front of him and to stay on top of him, all right? So this is a really good rep right here by Latham. But he has a lot of these type of reps where he's able to win, where he's able to show the strength. And we're also going to talk about his run blocking because I think he can become an elite run blocker based off some of the things he's already flashing. So let's just go ahead and get right into this. So we'll watch some of the tape from this game. We'll watch some of the past games as well. Obviously, when I watch this guy's tape, it's plays like this that make me feel like he could become a really good offensive tackle. You guys see him on this one. He gets out of his stance. He makes contact with his defensive end. And he does a really good job being able to anchor down. When JC Latham's able to get his hands on guys, his ability to anchor is really good. So JC Latham does a really good job with the strength, the power when he gets his hands on guys. Here's another one. This was 3rd and 8, true pass rushing situation. You got George Karlaftis, very good edge player. And Latham's going to do a really nice job with the hands. Again, just gets the hands right to this guy. And one of the things with Latham is the hands are a little inconsistent. Sometimes the hands don't land how you want them to land, and I'll just kind of break down exactly what we should be expecting from this guy. So one of the things you want to do is you want your right hand to land to the inside chest, and you want the left hand to land to the shoulder pad, right? The right shoulder pad of those defensive linemen. So the reason why this is important, and then the latch up here, is because this makes it so that defensive end cannot beat you to the inside. If the left hand latches onto that shoulder pad here, this guy cannot beat you to the inside. And then if the right hand is going to land to the inside chest, well, essentially you're establishing that half-man relationship, which means your outside foot is essentially going to be to the crotch of that defensive lineman. And that's the perfect spot to be in. But the hands are not that consistent. Sometimes the hands don't land well. And it kind of forces him to lose. And I'll show you guys these snaps here a little bit later on when we kind of look at some of the negative things in pass pro. But do also keep in mind, even if the hands aren't consistent, Latham has the power and the strength to shut guys down, to anchor down, not give up movement just based off the fact that he's so damn strong. And there are hundreds of examples like this on this guy's tape and pass pro. Take this next play here as an example. This is 3rd and 6. And you're going to have a defensive end line up in that wide 9. And this guy's going to go, like full speed into JC Latham. And look at Latham at a certain point anchor down within this play. And it might be hard to tell given the fact that it happens in real time. But let me go ahead and just kind of slow this down. So keep an eye on that defensive end. Again, he has a huge runway, full speed. It's going to get right into Latham. So the defensive end has the benefit here. And Latham's going to initially give up a little bit of ground. But watch Latham recover and just anchor right there. That's it. This guy's not going to have any more push from that point forward. And keep in mind, it's a shotgun snap. It's a 5-step drop out of shotgun. So it's a deep drop. Latham obviously has the wide 9, so he has to get super vertical as well. But he does a really nice job with the power, and it'll be a little bit more noticeable here. Watch him. Huff has the, that run where he gets into the chest, and then Latham shuts it down. Right? The movement that guy had initially stops. And that's because of the power and the strength. And the hand placement isn't great on this one, but again, the power, the strength, the ability to anchor on tape. Here's one where he has a defensive end that's pretty strong. You're not going to have any help on this one. It's a true one-on-one situation. The guy doesn't have a long runway the way Huff had on the last one. And this time, he just shuts it down. I mean, look at that. That's a really good rep right there. It's power. It's physical. It's strong. And the hands don't land well on this one. So, just little things they have to kind of clean up. But he does do a great job getting out of his stance. And also, don't overlook that Latham has pretty good athleticism for the strength that he has. On this one here, he does a pretty good job beating the linebacker. He hooks him off. That's a really nice rep right there by Latham to be able to get to that linebacker. Again, athleticism, this guy has it for a guy as strong as he is. Here's another one. You got a 3rd and 4. Once again, he's going to get out of his stance. Once again, he's going to anchor down against the edge player. Just really nice, powerful, strong hands to be able to shut down the movement, shut down the pass rush of those defensive ends. Another thing to kind of keep in mind, just kind of talking about the strength, the power, when he goes up against guys that are quicker, especially if he gets his hands on those guys, he does a really nice job just shutting it down. Here's a great example of it. He has a guy that's pretty damn fast as an edge player, but he does a phenomenal job speeding this guy to the landmark, getting his hands on him, and then he shuts it down. When he goes up against speed, he has a lot of success. Given the guy doesn't have like Micah Parsons type movement, which of course, most people don't have Micah Parsons level movement. So most of the time when he goes up against speed, he's able to shut it down and he's able to bully people, right? Like on this one here, he's going up against Kwity Paye. Pretty good player, first round pick. He does a pretty nice job just making contact with him and then he shuts it down, right? And you see him kind of toss this guy out of there. Which actually takes us to the next segment. I want to talk a little bit about his run blocking ability because I think the guy's an absolute stud as a run blocker. I think he's one of the, top 5 or 6 overall offensive tackles as a run blocker. The guy is really good. There are so many high quality reps as a run blocker by this guy. On this one here, you got Chris Jones, one of the best defensive tackles in the entire NFL. And Chris Jones is going to be lined up in the 3 technique. So what that means is his entire responsibility is essentially going to be the B gap. Now on this play, you obviously also understand that 55 has a reach block. He'll get help by the right guard. But Latham's entire responsibility within this play is to reach Chris Jones here. The play is obviously going to hit to the inside. And look at him as well as the right guard do a good job turning him. But again, it's Latham's responsibility to hook this off. At the end of the day, this is not on the right guard to hook it off. Yes, the right guard does a great job getting into the defensive tackle. But Latham does a phenomenal job with the hook off. And this is something you're going to notice on his tape. He oftentimes is reaching guys. He's oftentimes getting in front of guys. And he's oftentimes making the block that really sets things up for the offense. And I'm telling you guys, do not give up on JC Latham because the flashes are really, really, really good. Once again, you got a 3 technique and look at that reach block right there. To me, this is such an incredible block. Such a difficult block as well. But again, he still gets there. I absolutely love how he's able to get in front of the 3 technique. Again, this guy's responsibility is that B gap. And look at Latham and how he kind of gets out of there and gets in front of this defensive tackle. Watch how he does a really, really, really good job with the footwork. Really good job with the movement. And to me, at this point right here, you have successfully walled off this defensive tackle. And the running back, he has to really slow down to try to bend it back to the inside. Truth be told, if the running back gets the ball and sees this quicker and hits that gap a little bit quicker, the block hits a lot better. And this is a potential, 30, 40 yard gain, if not a touchdown. But of course, Tony Pollard does have to slow down a lot to get back into that cutback lane. But still, JC Latham does his job on this play. This one does still pick up 10 yards, which is really good. But this is what we're seeing by this guy as a run blocker. If you guys go back and watch this guy's tape, a lot of the big runs come right behind JC Latham and his ability to reach guys. Once again, Chris Jones, have a reach block. You got to get in front of him. And once again, you're going to pick up 11 yards. This is 3rd and 2. And I know the Titans haven't had a lot of success this season, but do keep in mind, when you have a rookie quarterback, this is what happens in that first season. Caleb Williams last year was a rookie. The Bears struggled, but you could see the flashes. You saw the upside, and this year they're in the playoffs. I really do think the Tennessee Titans, once they get that proper head coach, maybe it's Clint Kubiak, who knows what ends up happening this offseason. When they get that coach, this Titans offense is going to become really, really, really good. And the offensive line is going to be a huge part of this. And I think JC Latham's ability as a run blocker will also be a huge factor in the Tennessee Titans having success. This guy's a really, really, really elite run blocker. And I will really want that point to make it across that I really like what this guy's flash as a run blocker. And it's also the strength. It's not just the footwork and the ability to understand angles. It's the strength that he has to shut down these guys from beating him. When you make contact with these defensive linemen, when you get into a point like right here, for example, this guy's trying to rip and come back over the top. All right, just backing this up here. I'm going to slow this down so you guys can really see it. When Latham gets in front of the defensive tackle, now he's going to try to rip and come back over the top. Look at him. The left arm's trying to rip. He's trying to push up. He's trying to break that contact. It's not happening, man. Latham's way too strong. And I'm telling you guys, from a offensive tackle strength perspective, throwing the athleticism, the way Latham is built, there's not a whole lot of offense tackles built this way. And I know he struggled a little bit, and I'm not overlooking that. We will talk about some of his struggles, especially in pass pro. There are things that I think are absolutely correctable. But again, just really, really, really elite blocking, as you guys see on some of these plays. Really nice job by Latham. And also just keep this in mind, a lot of these runs that we're looking at are zone-based concepts. As a power blocker, he's also still very good. He can move people at the point of attack. He can get people out of gaps. But do keep in mind the Titans are a very, very heavy zone team. So a lot of the runs are zone concepts. But power or zone, I think this guy is really good regardless, because you just see the strength on tape, right? How he's able to hold blocks, he's able to reach guys. Just a really, really good offensive tackle as a run blocker. Here's just a quick example of him moving someone. You know, it's a power-based concept. Look at him and the right guard just move that defensive tackle out of there. You're moving a guy like 4 or 5 yards to the left with the double team. So that's a really good job right there with the movement that you're essentially generating. And of course, this will be the last one we'll look at. That's a run play, and then we'll get into the negatives. Again, just a power-based concept. I mean, talk about movement, man. This is absolutely incredible. And that's Zach Allen right there, number 94. He's I think he's a top 5 defensive tackle. Guy's really, really, really good. And just look at the movement, man. Look at him just straight put this guy into the dirt. Now, that right there is absolutely impressive as hell. Let's talk about some of the negatives. Let's talk about some of the things he has to correct. I've already mentioned the inconsistencies in the hands. Let's talk a little bit about that a little bit more. So on this play right here, JC Latham's going to just be a little bit too high, and the hands do not land well either. We'll talk about this play here. Let me slow it down. It's be a little bit easier to kind of watch this play. Again, really good defensive end that he's going up against. Notice how he's going to throw the hands. He's going to end up throwing both the right and the left hand kind of together at the same time. And again, he's way too high within this as well. He kind of waits for this defensive end to make contact. And he also doesn't change up the pass sets, which I think could help him a lot as he continues to develop. Here's a rep once again. He's a little high out of his stance. You know, I do like the initial burst. I like the initial pop. But again, you're too high, right? So this is one of the things that he's going to have to correct as he continues to go forward. Just being a little bit too high, and this does get him in trouble, and I'll show you guys a couple more reps of that. On this one here, he's going to actually end up attacking this defensive end. So here's an example of him changing up his pass set. You know, sometimes he is a little too high out of his pass set. He needs to be a little bit lower. And then sometimes he also gets beat quickly to like the inside. Here's an example of that. He is trying to close that distance down between him and the defensive end. So he's not going to get vertical. Instead, he wants to change up his pass set to throw the timing off of this defensive lineman. So look at him get out of his stance here. He's going to essentially attack that defensive end. And keep in mind, this is perfectly fine to do. The great offense tackles, in fact, do this a lot. But then he's throwing that left hand to number 56. And if that left hand does not land, or if it gets swiped, and in this instance it gets swiped, if you don't cleanly land that, you're going to give up that pressure. Now the running back does do a great job being able to kind of get in there and help Latham. On this one here, he's going to take on the bull rush by the defensive end, specifically the long arm, which is the bull rush move technically, and he's going to get pushed right back into the quarterback. And notice he's just too high on this one. So he has to get lower, and then he has to land the hands properly. On this one here, he almost uses the underhand technique. So the right hand's not going to land into the chest. Instead, both hands are going to land underneath. Let me just back this up here. Notice how the hands are going to come underneath, and he's almost kind of catching as opposed to attacking. So again, just a little bit of inconsistencies that he has to clean up with the hands. Here's one more rep where again, he's just going to be a little bit too high, and he's going to end up getting beat by Kwity Paye, who's going to end up getting a hit on the quarterback. So again, just the little things he has to clean up. Being a little too high, I think the hands are sometimes inconsistent as well. And also, I just want to kind of wrap it up with this. Not every single of the 8 sacks that he's been credited with by Pro Football Focus are actually on him. Here's an example of a sack that is clearly not on him. The quarterback has to throw the ball. That to the guy that gets the sack, Latham doesn't even touch him. Right? I think Latham ends up just kind of being the closest guy. So they just end up crediting him with the sack. But to me, this is not on him. There's other sacks like this as well. For example, on this one here, you have a 3rd and 3, and he's going to actually pick up the defensive end, but the linebacker ends up blitzing, and the linebacker gets the sack. So this is not on Latham, but he gets the credit for the sack. So sometimes, PFF is not going to be correct. Now, you can make the argument, if this is empty protection, which is what it looks like, you can make the argument that although big on big makes the most sense, you want to take the biggest threat to your inside, but also do keep this in mind. It's not that you have to take that guy, right? Like, on this play, you can make the argument 45. is just as much of a threat as that inside linebacker. But the fact that that inside linebacker is initially going to be lined up over here to the left, and he's backed up a little bit more. He's going to be over here. I think Latham kind of sets and probably starts looking to the right. Probably doesn't even see that linebacker coming. To me, this one's not on him, right? He picks up a guy, and there's two guys, and that's on the quarterback. Got to get the ball out. Got to throw it away or do whatever it takes to get it out. There was another sack that he got credited for. Again, it's not on him. Max Crosby's out there. He has his guy within this, and he gets out there. This is on the quarterback. You got to get the ball out. If you bring 6 guys and you don't have 6 blockers, you got to throw it hot. And again, this is part of what happens when you have a rookie quarterback, right? These are the things he'll develop. And these are the things Cam Ward will get better at. But again, to me, these plays are not on JC Latham. And don't get it wrong. It's not like he's giving up no sacks, right? He has plays like this where clearly this is on him. He just gets beat by Max Crosby. Crosby gets to the quarterback on this one. This one here, of course, is going to be on him as well. Tactically, I think this gets split to, or may actually I just went straight to Myles Garrett, who is not the guy Latham's blocking, but Latham's guy also ends up kind of getting in there at the same time, right? So these plays are definitely on him. These are things you just develop and get better at. I have also noticed one other thing on this guy's tape. Sometimes, he'll lose a rep because he's just not paying attention, or he's just slow out of his stance like this one. This isn't slow. He's just not paying attention. And I've seen this probably 3 or 4 times. Where, he gets caught like looking to the inside, and you keep an eye on the helmet. He's going to look left. You'll see him here in a second. He looks left, and he doesn't realize that the ball got snapped, and he's going to come back to the right. And now he tries getting out of his stance, and then his guy's going to get the sack. So this is obviously on him, but I've noticed this on tape a couple different times. Just wanted to quickly point that out. Either way, to wrap it up, I think JC Latham has a ton of upside and potential. Yes, he needs to clean some things up, but there's no offensive tackle that's coming into the NFL that has not needed to clean some things up. If you're a Titans fan, do not give up on this guy. I think he's going to develop into a really good offensive tackle. And if the Titans, for some reason, get rid of this guy, like let's say this offseason, which obviously is not going to happen, but let's just say it does happen, then Latham will go to a different team and he'll end up becoming a really good football player for a different team. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thumbs up, subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time with another video.